What's going on, everybody? It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Today is Saturday. Happy Saturday. Hope you're having a great weekend. It's May 3rd. And in this video, we're going to do another rapid fire news update, this time for the period April 26th to May 2nd. Again, it's just a high-level overview in case you missed it. Before we get to it, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. And as always, not financial advice. Entertainment purposes only. You can follow us over on X as well, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. Also, been dealing with some mic issues, and I think I finally got those resolved. So let me know in the comment section below if everything's coming through a lot more clearer and louder. I would appreciate your feedback. Also, let me know in the comment section below if there's an article here on the screen, studies showing that psilocybin quickly reduces depression and anxiety symptoms in cancer patients. This is something we know that MJ is known for as well. But I wanted to bring this up because I don't normally cover psychedelics on the space, the psychedelic space on this channel. And that's just because there's so much to cover in terms of MJ and crypto. And those are my two main focuses. I'll always be focusing on MJ. That's around 70 to 80% of my content, if not more. And then the rest is usually crypto and blockchain. And there's just so much to cover with those two. But if I were to incorporate psychedelics, it would be sort of the third on the list. Kind of, maybe 5% or less of the content would go to that. Let me know if that's something that you would like to see on the channel. Again, MJ will always be my passion. It's my burning desire and my passion, why I believe I was put on this earth. And then second, I have, my technology background. That's what I've been, doing my entire life for almost 2 decades now. So I just have that natural interest in technology and, the internet of value versus the internet of information. That's what we're into with crypto. And it's something that is going to always be there. It actually is what got me interested in investing in MJ stocks, was because I found out about Bitcoin, started to find out about more riskier alternative assets, and then I started to look into MJ stocks late 2017 and early 2018 as well, before Canada legalized, and we had that big boom. So a little blast from the past there. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on that. Also, national survey finds that 2/3 of voters support legalizing MJ, including majority of Republicans. High tide. This is pretty crazy here. They approximately had $6.8 million in retail sales just during the 4/20 long weekend alone. That is insane, and it's only going to get bigger from here. Love High Tide. Love the company. I think they're going to be one of those companies that does very, very well long term. And Cannabis Biotech also has been doing very well. So switching it from a retailer to a producer front, Cannabis Biotech delivered record Q2 results and national expansion accelerated. So if you haven't seen my video, I posted a review of these earnings, and very impressed with the team at Cannara, and they just continue to execute, and they have a lot more expanding to do just in Canada before they start to set their eyes on international markets as well. Also, Tilray Brands, the game is about to change with Redecan MJ. The countdown starts now, and it says legit live resin. And if you just look at it looks like a type of vape. So I assume that's some sort of all-in-one vape. More than likely, we were talking about this in the Pow Group private community. I think it was Everett. Shout out to you who mentioned that. And it does very much look like a type of vape. If you look at that, I'll pause it here real quick. They like to do this, kind of build up the anticipation. Yeah, that was right there. So if we just zoom back, that right there looks like a vape, right? So it's more than likely some sort of live resin vape. But we'll see what comes out of that. Also, MJ Council of Canada congratulates Mark Carney and calls for immediate action to strengthen Canada's legal MJ industry. And I've already posted a video on this. They cited high excess taxes, moving it to a percentage fee, combating the illicit market, and then moving from multiple stamps to one national stamp. So you don't have 13 different stamps for different provinces and territories, right? It's going to cut down on the burden and the costs associated with it. So love to see that, and hopefully we get some sort of reform, some sort of improvements, and start to support this industry under the new leadership. We thank the government in Canada for legalizing it. It's been almost 7 years legal here in Canada, and it's crazy that we haven't seen that in the US yet. We've been almost 7 years legal, but it is what it is, and we'll just take those incremental steps, and hopefully the rest of the world and Canada starts to support the industry even more. White House drug czar could endorse MJ legalization under new bill to repeal ludicrous restriction. So we'll continue to monitor that as it develops as well. Trump's pick to lead DEA also says that MJ rescheduling review will be one of my first priorities on the job. And that was none other than Terrence Cole. I posted a video on that as well from my full breakdown and thoughts and opinions. You can check that out for more information. But I do believe that there will be major change coming. And there's a lot of options for Terry Cole at the helm to get this done. And there's already so much science backed. You got the HHS report, right? Hundreds of pages of back science. So I don't think there's any stopping it. Like I said, I think the train has left the station, and there's no putting it back in the genie back in the bottle. Essentially, right? We're already far into this process, and the will of the people, right? Majority of the people, 80 to 90% of the people in the U.S. want it legal in some form, whether it be medical or recreational. And it's time to get with the program here, folks. Also, 4 and 5 congressional staffers say that they're optimistic that safer banking will pass this year. And I reported earlier as well that it's been anonymously leaked that the Trump administration and Trump himself has been urging congressional members of Congress to pass safer banking. And they wanted to get it done before the midterms. And this is saying that it could potentially pass this year. And they're putting the odds at around 90% confident it'll pass sometime in 2025. And I've been always saying for a while now that I believe that was the most likely scenario. We get safer banking, we get uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ. These institutions and Wall Street banks, the JP Morgans, Morgan Stanleys, Goldman Sachs, get positioned first before we have a major reform in the US. It's just nothing happens without those Wall Street banks, right? SNDL reports first quarter 2025 financial and operational results. They posted mixed results. It was a lot due to seasonality as well. Think dry January and whatnot. They're big into retail liquor as well. And they talked about a strategic review of their listings. This hasn't been confirmed yet, but their board of directors has initiated a formal strategic review to evaluate SNDL's exposure to U.S. multi-state licensed MJ enterprises and its current exchange listing status. So they recently applied and are now listed on the CSE, Canadian Securities Exchange. And then what would effectively happen, I just posted a video on this as well, what would happen to my shares if I'm on Robinhood and I'm holding them on the NASDAQ and they get delisted from the NASDAQ. Check that video out, but essentially it would get transferred to the OTC. More than likely, they would probably list their shares on the TSX, similar to like a Cureleaf. It would just be operating kind of the same, but that would give them the ability to enter the US quicker and not have to worry about forfeiting their NASDAQ listing. If they do that, voluntarily and intentionally, then it could open up doors that otherwise were closed before, right? And then they don't want to rely on the U.S. government, right? I can't blame them. It's been almost 7 years since Canada legalized in the U.S. Still hasn't even got banking done. You can't buy MJ with a credit card in the U.S. It's just really, really sad, to be completely honest with you. And it's not the American people. They're all showing support for it. It's the politicians. This is why I can't stand politics. Because the will of the people, 80 to 90% of the people want it, but yet their salaries are paid for by the people, they work for the people, and they don't even listen to them. It's just, this is why I can't stand any politics at all. But eventually, I'm confident that we'll get there. I think common sense will prevail, and the will of humans, right? And just being a good person, and like I said, do what you were put there to do, which is follow the will of the people and govern, on behalf of the people, not on your own political agendas and, working for different corporations and getting lobbied. And it's really sickening at the end of the day. But hopefully we'll have some more information with regards to that soon. Again, it's just a review, so nothing's set in stone. A lot of people are freaking out about it, but it's not the end of the world, in my opinion. And other LPs might follow suit, but I highly doubt it. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we get some sort of reform in the U.S. and we avoid all that mess. New study also has discovered that a new cannabinoid from MJ flowers show anti-tumor potential against neuroblastoma. So again, follow the science. Someone reach out to Shamath Palihapitiya, who has said that it's turning people into zombies. And Travis Kelce also, there was an article, I didn't bring it up, but said how being suspended from MJ use in football actually changed his career around. And it's like, okay, so this guy, he was using MJ and he was able to just give it up. Doesn't seem super addictive, and doesn't seem like he turned into a zombie. He went on to become one of the most sought after and most successful professional athletes in in football and in sports in general. It's hilarious to see some of the talking points that these people use just to try to squash the industry, right? To demoralize it, and then they're probably just they sold their soul, right, to big pharma, big tobacco, big alcohol, and all these corporations, right? They're just trying to buy time for them to come in to get their filthy paws over everything. Also, Organogram is set to report second quarter fiscal 2025 results on May 2nd, 2025. You can bet I'll definitely be covering those. Also, CBD found to significantly reduce seizures across multiple forms of drug-resistant epilepsy in new study. So again, follow the science, folks. Anybody who tells you, follow the science in a negative aspect, like I can't. What would be the percentage of negative articles that are coming out lately, right, versus positive? Like anti-tumor, anti-cancer properties, right? Epilepsy. Like it seems like every day you turn around, there's like 2 or 3 different studies coming out on how it's medicine of the future versus turning our kids into zombies, which are just completely unfounded. It's not even they're not even facts. It's opinions that are not grounded in reality. And speaking of seizures and epilepsy, Epidiolex continues to lead the way in cannabinoid-based epilepsy treatment. So this has been a game changer in the industry. And if you haven't seen that article, you can check that out for more details. Also, Aspire Technology advances vapor safety and compliance with first ever FDA PMTA filing for blockchain-powered age gating system. So again, folks, blockchain, crypto, it's going to be in every aspect of the economy. It's going to bolster our infrastructure in all facets of the world, right? It's going to increase security. Everything will run on the blockchain eventually, and there's no, like, for example, Tilray talked about accepting crypto and using AI, right? AI, crypto, blockchain. You cannot ignore it. It's going to change the world. It's like ignoring the internet. It's like, why do we need email? We have a phone, right? We have a telephone. What do we need email for, right? And people laughed at it. We have a fax machine. They laughed at people in the early days of the internet. And this is literally the internet of value. And blockchain, right? Stocks, for example, everything. Like, there will be no opening and closing bell anymore. We're already starting to see that. Certain companies are offering 24/7 stock trading, fractional ownership, right? Which you can do with blockchain. You can buy like 0.001 of a stock, right? Instead of, that's why they created stock splits, was because when Amazon gets to $1,000 or $2,000 a share, most retail investors are like, oh, I'm out of the game now, right? I can't afford one share. And if I buy one share, who wants just one share, right? So then they do these fractional ownerships and stock splits where, they increase the amount of shares, but they decrease the stock price. And then it's just a psychological thing, right? But yeah, eventually all stocks will trade 24/7, 365, and it'll just be like crypto. And it'll be more secure. Things will settle. It won't take 2 or 3 days to settle, right? T+1, it'll be a matter of seconds, right? Because of blockchain and advancements in technology. Also, Intercure out of Germany announced their fiscal year 2024 results and provided an update on Q1 2025. You can check that out if you haven't already. Moving right along, Green Thumb opening Rise dispensary in Ocala in Florida. We have New Pennsylvania poll finding support for MJ legalization at the highest level ever, just 21% opposed. So this is going to be another critical market in the U.S. that is poised for reform here, at least, I would say, in the next couple of years, maybe even this year. We'll see what happens. There's been a lot of skepticism that it can get done this year, but we'll see what happens. Cresco Labs, as earnings season continues, they're set to report first quarter 2025 financial results on May 9th. And we have Aurora MJ announced the completion of multi-million-dollar investment and renaming of the BC manufacturing facility. So it's been renamed to Aurora Alpine, and they announced the completion of a multi-year investment of $3 million in improvements to its manufacturing facility in Pemberton, BC. And Aurora, long hated Aurora, finally starting to garner some attention again. I hear comments sometimes that Aurora is the new leader in the space, which kind of makes me laugh at the same time. But love to see that the negative energy is slowly starting to exit the sector. It seems sometimes it just passes it on. It's kind of a game of musical chairs. It just gets passed on to the next one down the line. But it's nice to see that we're finally starting to see, because we're humans, right? People are creatures of habit, and also very, very short memories. All in all, I think it's good to see that the negative stigma is leaving the industry. Planet 13 opens 33rd Florida dispensary in Edgewater, and just cruising through this a little quicker here in Nebraska. Attorney General still playing mind games and continuing the stupidity, continues to try to push back against the adoption of voter-approved medical MJ law. Again, just more proof that these people in power, they are not there for the will of the people. They do not have your best interests at heart most of the time. I would say majority of the time. They're just there pushing other political agendas for, like I said, different political parties, or, they're trying to work with their big pharma, big tobacco, big alcohol buddies. And it has to stop. And, it's mind-boggling to me that a voter-approved initiative is being questioned and challenged by the political leaders. It's asinine to me and completely unacceptable. So hopefully things change here in the not too distant future. Cayman Islands also their voters approved MJ decriminalization referendum. So hopefully the leaders there don't go against the will of the people again, but wouldn't surprise me in the least. Ohio Senate passes bill to limit hemp product sales to licensed dispensaries and liquor stores. So the legislation aims to take hemp-derived products out of gas stations and smoke shops and require buyers to be 21 years or older. So basically, a common sense bill. Like, of course that shouldn't happen. Like, again, we're talking a country, right? The U.S. It's almost 7 years that we've been legal in Canada. Guess how many times we've been able to go to convenience stores, or guess how many times we've been able to go to a gas station or a convenience store, or be able to purchase things underage? Zero. It's never happened. That's why we created the regulatory landscape and the legal framework, right? And no way in hell they were going to let that happen. In the U.S., it's still federally illegal after 7 years since Canada started, but yet you can go to gas stations and some places aren't even IDing you. Like, I don't know what kind of world they're living in down there in the political sphere in the U.S., but it's entertaining. It's quite funny if there's nothing else to gain from it, because, yeah, I do think that my IQ lowers every time I listen to these policymakers with regards to this industry, because it's like, let's put a 4-year-old in charge, and I bet you we could do a better job. But again, it's intentional stupidity, right? These people running the country in the U.S. can't be this dumb, right? They can't be. It doesn't make any sense. They're doing it for a reason, an ulterior motive, and I think it's to slow the industry down. They know they can't squash it, but they can slow it down, and they can protect it for their big corporations and their friends in big pharma, big alcohol, big tobacco, right? It's the only thing that makes any sense. Also, Florida's medical MJ patient count continues to climb, almost reaching that coveted $1 million mark. It's at 911,000. So love to see the growth continuing there. Speaking of growth, a study in Australia shows that over 8% of Australians use MJ recreationally, with nearly 3% using it medically. And Australia is a very big market with tons of growth happening right now, and a big focus for a lot of different companies. Also, Organigram to report second quarter fiscal 2025 results on May 2nd. Did I already bring that one up? I think I did. Yes, I did. I already had that one. So yeah, I guess I'm just really excited for Organigram earnings. So we'll be continuing to follow that, as I mentioned earlier in the video. And not so awesome news, California set to hike up MJ tax as much as possible in July. So the excise tax is going to increase 26% to 19% in may just be okay, I was thinking it said in May, but this was in July, but it may just be the final nail in the coffin for many businesses. Okay, so I would agree. Like, there's already so much saturation in that market. It's been hard, especially with the illicit market. This isn't going to help combat that at all. In fact, it's probably going to do the opposite. There's been a lot of price compression. There's a lot of competition. So companies have been struggling already. And if they increase the excise tax, that's ass backwards to me. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, we know that excise tax is a big thing here in Canada, and Canada is about the same size as California in terms of population. But I don't know. It's weird to me that we're not letting the industry flourish. But again, is it really can what else can we say, right? It seems like it's intentional. They're just trying to slow the industry down as long as possible. It's the only thing that makes any sense so that they can get big pharma, big alcohol, the other corporations positioned to take advantage of this industry. And I was just listening to a podcast on the dime, how big alcohol is really starting to further their tentacles into this industry. And it's just starting to happen now. And especially, with a Schedule 1 narcotic, it's very difficult for these big, Fortune 500 companies and publicly traded companies to convince their shareholders that it's a good idea for them to invest in these sectors, right? But as we start to remove that stigma and we get reform even to Schedule 3, and then people start to see that delineation, right? Okay, it's not on the same level playing field as heroin now, right? It makes the world a difference. So you just have to question the ulterior motives. All right, going in it there, it's Rod with Pow Group. Another busy week in MJ News. Hope you enjoyed this one, and thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll continue the conversation in the comment section below, and we'll see you again on the next video.